Tell
Wanna
me,
get it?
tell me about the Apex. Tell me how hot and bothered
Oh
you
my god,
got
the
from watching you.
Apex is oof, it's really something. Whew, yeah, it's really, I'm hyped.
Ayo, Yokoso, which means welcome if you're new. I'm glad you're here because we are talking about the apex of gaming. This is the Onexfly Apex's full detailed reviews by the CEO of, I guess, One Netbook, Onexplayer. His name is Jack. I don't know much else because I'm not important enough, but I know the rest of the panel is important enough. How about all of you? Did you catch it?
Uh,
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
yo, hey,
Tell
I'm
the
Clef.
audience who you are.
Sup, Clef?
Nelly.
Hey, it's Zach.
Okay, so before we started hitting the record button, and while I was feverishly trying to type out this script because I didn't pay the AI subscription this month, my panelists were getting really spicy about all the details of this thing. I know that the audience is very hungry for a 395 device too. And fortunately, this one is also jumping on the trend of backpack batteries. We did tease this and talk about this in a previous episode. So other than just shutting up and giving my money, I want to ask everyone here, particularly Nelly first, what surprised you the most? Was it the bigger holes? What was expected or not expected?
I mean, that's what I posted first about my excitement because I was like, look at those holes. They're huge. Like, there's so much airflow coming in this thing. I love it. Like, the whole back is basically open. Like, they're just like, wide spaced out airflow on that. And I love that for this device. But something that I thought was really cool and different is I didn't notice on GPD, like their Win 5, but on this battery backpack, and Zach kind of alluded to it too when he saw some of the pictures that I posted, is like there's a kickstand. There's a kickstand on the battery bank. And like, why not have that kickstand on there? I mean, it's genius. Like, if you're going to have that attached on it, at least you can, put it down. It's going to be heavier when the battery is attached. And so just having that kickstand is like a small little thing that's like a really cool feature add. So I really feel like, there's a lot of things we can talk about today that are exciting, and I'll try not to ruin it so that everybody can, stick through the whole episode. I'm not just going to like power through an AI script of like everything that was cool, because there was a lot of cool stuff. But that kickstand, I will go with that piece. Like, that was something surprising and cool that I wasn't expecting on there.
That's pretty good. And thank you for saying the buzzwords AI. Now our stocks have gone up. Clef, what was the big surprise for you?
All right, so with the spirit of today's show, I want to say, can I hit it from the back? Because honestly, that's what this presentation did for me. It showed us the back of the device. And to put Nelly's point, we've seen a lot of interesting things. And as someone who's into controllers and reviews them a lot, I couldn't help but notice that there's hair triggers. Let's go. That dual stage trigger. I was so hyped for that. And it's not the only device we're starting to see it more and more, but this needs to be de facto on every upcoming PC handhelds. So I'm glad we have it here. We have capacitive sticks also, which I have a little bit of a preference for TMR, but capacitive is right under it. So I'm excited for how it's going to feel, because the Onexfly has been an amazing device, and this one being just slightly bulkier, I think it's going to be very nice to hold. But at the same time, I'm glad to know that they have really put some thoughts into making sure that it's not just the grip, it's the tools that you have to play your games with that are also improved. So great touch.
Well said. And we are going to touch upon those sticks later on. Not those sticks. Hey, button that shirt back up, mister.
I don't know
Let's
what
turn
you
our
mean. Oh, sorry, wrong place.
let's turn our hands down. Let's turn our hands over to Mr. Zach
Hands
and
down.
Skinda. Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, let's well,
I'm gonna stay like
just
this for the rest of
just
the show.
hands, not anything else. Zach, what was the big surprise for you now that backpack batteries are kind of getting since everybody gets a backpack battery now? What's the big surprise for you?
I mean, I want to say I'm surprised by a lot of it, but at the same time, I'm not. I'll tell the whole story. So, like, it's cheaper than the Win 5 at each, SKU level. I guess one pretty decent surprise was that, so the price is the same, at least for the early bird or the Chinese price. Like, the 48 gig model for RAM now instead of 32, whatever that math is, just that little bit more. Because I mean, you could basically run a 16 VRAM, 32 regular RAM setup with that amount of RAM. Like, that just seems like perfect, especially for like the future, because almost every entry level desktop GPU, except for maybe the 5060, I mean, because it's a joke, but you know, everybody's almost pretty much everything's got 16 gigs VRAM now, and that's going to become probably the standard here pretty soon. Same thing with 32 gigs of, you know, CPU RAM. So it's like, that's perfect. Like, I mean, I guess that is like the most surprising to me, but like the price being less than GPD, I'm honestly like, I want to be surprised by it just because the bigger screen, some of these extra features, whatever. But at the same time, like Onex has kind of always cut GPD at least a little bit in history. So I'm not particularly surprised by it. But I mean, it's great. I mean, I love that. So I mean, I'm surprised but not surprised in that aspect. But yeah, I'd say biggest thing is this 48-ish gig model. Like, I might stop talking about the 385 now, just because that's available with the 48.
I think that's really well put, especially the GPD thing where I guess I'm gonna have to, we're gonna have to splice this in where yeah, it's a bit of a hot take, but I said this in a previous episode that GPD does seem to innovate on these things, and then another company swoops in and does a better job. Yeah, I mean, sorry to GPD, but them's are the facts. What you were alluding to price though, Zach, and I think that's the area or direction that we definitely got to go. Short of the confirmed specs that we also got that we talked about previously before, like we heard about the 85 watt hour battery. We've also heard about the TDP going up to 80 watts, but now we've also got confirmation about TDP going up to 120 watts with this sort of external liquid cooling, or basically an all-in-one cooler. If you're coming from the desktop space, it's I'm assuming, even though they didn't go over all the details in that video, that you have like an external radiator and fan inside of this, like sort of, they called it like an ice box in the auto dub, or like ice house. We don't know what the official name is, but I'm going to be a little bit disappointed if it's not called 1X Ice or something like that. That's the truth of it. They've all and I want to get back on that later, but let's talk specifically about the pricing. The pricing is what Zach talked about, starting with the 385. If we're converting the numbers from the Chinese early bird pricing, starting at $1,200-ish or so, and then going all the way up to $2,200, which I know it sounds like a lot because it is. That's the same or very, very, very close to what the GPD Win 5 early pricing was. Now, I would like to break things down with everybody in terms of the variants that Zach was talking about, and ask you all to kind of make a pick of one of these. If you were to, back one of these devices, or if you were going to recommend someone back one of these devices, which one of these variants would it be, and why? Can we start with you, Zach, since you're all about this 48 gigs?
I mean, as close as they are, I mean, it's definitely something to think about. I mean, I'm still maybe kind of in between still. I mean, still like the 385, but yeah, that 48 gig just seems like a good, sweet spot. And in terms of pricing, I mean, like it's basically the same as the Win 5 at this SKU, but I mean, like I said, you're getting, more RAM. I mean, basically for that price, plus all the other, bigger screen, yada yada that comes with it. So I mean, you're basically like right there with it. So, and I mean, it's always been really close with the Win 5. I mean, it was like $200 difference between 385 and 395. If this basically ends up being the same $200, like another 12 gigs or 16 gigs. God, my math is terrible today. Another 16 gigs of RAM, like, yeah, especially, RAM's not as easy to replace as everything else in the thing. So I feel like the 395 SKU, at least for this, it definitely prices out the 385.
Fair.
And then another, but I mean, the 64 gig, 4 terabyte model, that's nothing to really shy away from either, because I think it was 1,001 early bird, cheaper than the GPD Win 5, and then 2,000 retail difference. So US, I mean, you're talking like 150 early, and then like a $300 difference retail, give or take. So I mean, that's the top end models really undercutting GPD here. So if you're kind of in that range, like you want the 64 and the 4 terabytes, like I would definitely look at this over GPD because that price gap is fairly large. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot, just like everything else. Like we've been getting bombarded with information today. Like I'm kind of doing the same thing here.
I think that's a really fair point. So it does sound like 48 gigs would be your pick if you were going to go that direction. But I'm going to go over to Nelly now because Nelly was the one bombarding me with all this information earlier.
Oh,
Yeah, there was if there was a way to penetrate the market, this is the way to do it. Onexplayer. What do you think, Nelly?
absolutely. Like and the whole presentation was really well done. I was like very impressed with everything that they released on there from a price point standpoint. Like they came in really hot and they were ready. And, Clef made some predictions about where that price might be. I made some predictions about where that RAM should be because I feel like, 32 gigs isn't enough for the 395. And it's interesting enough that, 48 is where they've put that on the 395 model. And I feel at the minimum, if I was going to recommend something, it would be that 48 gig VRAM model at the 395 because for that $200 difference, you get that extra RAM and you get that way better chip. Like not way better, but it's better enough if you're spending the money on this device and looking at this device as a whole, then you should be on like more of the hardcore gamer side and enthusiast. And this is more of an enthusiast device. And I mean that $200 difference is pretty good. But what I'm going to pick is the 64. That's what I'm going to go with. The 64 and the 2 terabyte. And I feel like the 1 terabyte just isn't enough space. So if I'm going to spend the money to upgrade the drive anyway, and I look at that price difference, I mean, that's where I kind of, capture some of that more of that money back of like, just get the 2 terabyte. And then I'm looking at the actual build of the device and through those videos of like where the NVMe is located. And it looks like it's directly under the fan. So that means that to take it apart, it's not as easy as just like pulling off the back plate, swapping out the drives. You're going to have to remove the fans and get a little bit deeper in there. So if you are looking for something that has more space, which again, you're getting this device to play AAA games, you download Call of Duty, you're like, oh, there goes half my drive. And so if you need that bigger space, like that might be a little bit more engaging of an option. It'd be interesting if they, release a 2 terabyte 48 gig model as well, because this is really what we're seeing for the, China prices, but we might see an option for a 2 terabyte at the 48 gig. And I would say I'd probably recommend maybe that depending on if it's $50 more, like get the 2 terabyte one because the swap will be a little bit harder.
Really nice points. And I saw that grin on your face, my guy. I mean, there's no person who's gonna go deeper than this man right here. So,
Oh man,
That's-
I was holding myself back.
I know.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let's hear it.
So okay, well, I just want to, not that I want to be the buzzkill, but I just want to clarify something that Henstern said, and I'm sure a lot of people captured or caught on the 4 terabyte. That is actually not a SKU. That I know from OXP themselves, it's only a 2 terabyte. So I just wanted, in case we have someone listening thinking, oh, I want a 4 terabyte. What they said basically during the presentation is it can go up to 4 terabytes, but there's actually no SKU that will come pre-installed with 4 terabytes. I just wanted to clarify that. As far as the SKUs go, honestly, I mean, it's always going to come down to what are you trying to do with that device, right? And if you're trying to game and use it as a desktop solution, there's so many things there. And one thing I want to commend OXP is I really think they were on the pulse by understanding that 32 gigabyte, if you're going to do both, it's kind of cutting it short, especially considering how good that GPU is. So with 48 gigabytes with that $99.99 early access pricing, well, that's in Chinese currency, but it's just perfect. You have, as Zach said earlier, you have just enough for gaming and you have enough also to make sure your operating system is not getting choked. So I really, really love that SKU. But at the same time, if you're going only for gaming and you're not going to try to dog this, as we said in a couple of episodes back, this is more of a companionship to your PC rig, if that's the kind of situation that you're going for, I still think the Max 385 is an interesting SKU. And I mean, it's not just a little bit of money that you're paying less for it. And it's going to get you very, very close to the same performance as we now know. So I don't know. I think for me, it's going to, happen between those two SKUs. I do agree with having 2 terabytes, but that's something I probably would just end up replacing. I think Nelly has a great point. It's probably not going to be as easy, but I've been doing this, for the longest time ever. So I'm not too concerned with opening. Worst case scenario, I know she's going to have a video, so I'm going to watch her videos.
Yeah, there you go. That's
there
right.
you go. So yeah, for sure. But yeah, for me, the 2, entry level SKUs, entry level, that's not cheap. Let's agree to that. But yeah, those are the ones I'm most interested in personally.
Yeah, that's also well said. I do have to ask you though. I mean, usually we save the tinfoil hatting for later, but could it be that there's only 1 and 2 terabyte SKUs because they want to sell mini SSDs?
I was just getting ready to maybe say something about that.
Wait,
Anyway,
Actually,
do
as
you
kinda
mean they
went
had a
going.
presentation by Win was looking at it and they were like, "I'll take this off," and they're like, "We don't have time. We're going on the stage." Maybe.
Yep.
No, no.
Yep.
They're like
Yep.
4 terabytes. They'll never buy our card.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And then CEO Jack was like, the script here. Sorry, the mini SSDs also go up to 2 terabyte. Hey. So you can get yourself that 4 terabytes, of storage if you choose the top.
I
SKU.
mean, for
Just-
that
just saying.
$300 price difference, I mean, yeah. I mean, it shouldn't even.
But to something you said, Nelly, and I'm so glad you said it because I would have completely forgotten. I also want to commend Onexplayer on their presentation. And look, I understand it is not perfect. Clearly, they had to use AI, but man, it was so, first of all, refreshing that we get to hear the presentation in English and not try to I don't know for you guys. I usually screenshot, translate, it's a pain doing those things. So thankfully we didn't have to do that. So yeah, I think that was a cool touch as well.
No, I agree. They actually just as a side note, I think they should use that AI dubbing or whatever auto dubbing they used for their actual videos because it was much better. Like obviously it was not perfect. They did say aviator a lot when they meant to say Onexfly. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hence my reference to the icebox ice house thing. That is the literal translation from the Chinese. But intricacies aside, language barriers and stuff are always a challenge. But the other barrier, which is the bigger challenge here, is price, of course. So when we saw with the GPD early pricing, there ended up being a differential of maybe about $200-ish across every single SKU. So given that we have information being that the Indiegogo campaign for the Apex is going to launch at November 9th, what are you speculating? Do you think we'll see something similar? And does that change your opinion on anything, even if it changes, even if we see this change? So just as a reference point, the entry SKU for the 385 is about $1,200. Okay, the next SKU up is about $1,400. That's the 395 with the 48 gigs. Then the 64 gigs model that Nelly is eyeing is about $1,700, and then the top end SKU is about $2,250. But also, as another reference point, the Indiegogo campaign for the GPD Win 5, which is ending by the time anyone sees this video, the top SKU, which is the 64 gig, is about $2,100. Let me get the exact $2,120. So it's actually the 64 gig model comparatively is within $100 of this 128 gig model. And I think you would all agree that no typical gamer would need 128 gigabytes of RAM, even if you're going to allocate, half of that to your VRAM. It just doesn't make sense for normal use cases. And then if you go down the SKU to the 385, the comparison is that it would be a 385 Win 5 at 1450 about, comparing to the entry level 395 for the Apex. So what do you think? Even if we see some kind of price adjustment, which is realistically probably what we're going to see, how does that change your opinion, if anything? Because they got a lot of wiggle room there.
They do have a lot of wiggle room. I do expect that it's not going to be exactly the same conversion. I mean, it never is. So I think clearly there were a lot of people hyped for the Apex, and the viewership that they had during their live presentation proved that to be the case. I don't think I've ever seen Onexplayer have as much viewers. So that was another, success, another milestone for them. So congratulations as well. But I think a lot of people took what they saw, took it and ran with it. And that could potentially hurt them because, right now the seed is being planted and people are thinking, oh, 1207 for that entry. It's not going to be that price. I love it to be that price, but it's not going to be that price. With that said, I think even after adding something on top because of logistics and just, dealing with the international market, I think they still are probably going to come slightly under the Win 5, but correct me if I'm wrong. As far as I can remember, and I was watching the presentation, but I may have missed some bits and parts here and there. Isn't that without accessories? So whereas the Win 5 included the battery on that price, I think they don't.
No, the Apex
No.
includes the battery.
Yeah,
It
the
does?
Apex, it includes the battery with it, but then you can also buy it separately. And when you're touching on the accessory piece, the battery prices that they listed, I did like a quick conversion on it. It's about $40, $50 for the extra battery in USD from like the Chinese price that's listed. And then the dock is about $140 USD. So when you
Oh.
compare that to the price points on the Win 5, the external battery looks like it's less from Onexplayer.
But the
The
dock is more.
dock looks like it's about the same
Oh,
ish,
okay.
or a little bit more, a little bit more. But then there's also a charger for the battery that you can get on the side too, and a case offering. So those are things that aren't on there. And I will note as well that on the 64 gig model, while we're comparing the prices, the 64 gig model on the Onexplayer side is at the 2 terabyte. And then the one on the GPD Win 5 is at a 4 terabyte. So when we're comparing the prices, just take note of those variances.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure that's where I got confused earlier. So
I mean,
Well,
all that being said, yeah, I think 200, as you alluded to, as we had alluded to with the Win 5 and turned out to be about the case. I think that's what we're gonna see, give or take. We'll see.
Yeah. What are your predictions, Zach, for the price difference?
I mean, this might be wishful thinking, but they're already undercutting them now. I can see them undercutting, the global market as well too. So 1450-ish at 385 for the GPD, at least during the campaign. I can maybe 1400. I mean, I can't see them marking that one down too much. I can maybe see them playing more with the 48 gig model. So GPD's 32 2 terabyte is 1650. I can maybe see them going a little bit. So maybe like 1550, maybe even 1500 if I'm crazy, that'd be nice. But and then I think I could see the 64 2 terabyte. I think that's going to have to be 1999 global during the campaign for sure to kind of alleviate that 2 terabyte difference on that top end. But I mean, whatever it comes out, I mean, even just doing the straight math as close as these all are, it's going to be a good price anyway. I think it's going to definitely be worst case a little bit less than the Win 5 and you're getting more value out of it. But wishful thinking, maybe knock off GPD's prices for their their comparative SKUs by 150 bucks. Then you really got something to work with, and everybody, I mean, it's just going to flood, yours versus theirs for
Yep.
sure. I mean, you're like, oh, 150 bucks. Maybe I give up a little bit here, but I get way more over here. I mean, 150 bucks is nothing to really scoff at. So maybe.
I think those are fair predictions. You have a prediction, Nelly?
I think that they're going to be pretty tight to where they are now of those conversions. And I say that because they pushed like a limited piece, like they pushed it limited for China at these prices, the quantity to try to just push the demand on that stuff. But during the whole presentation, they really kept referring back to the ROG Xbox Ally X, and they kept referring back to really the Legion Go 2. They kept pushing that their device is so much better and for what you get for the product, and like they really push that. And I don't think that they're going to be pushing their price out of whack of any of those devices. Like I think they're going to really try to drive this home to take that market from like the North American market to really get those sales. And it's like a, in my mind, it's like a microtransaction type thought of like, let's be very aggressive with North America and get high volume sales transactions through that while we're limiting what's in China for the demand there, so that we can help free up like getting that out there to the masses globally as quickly as possible to help take that market. So I think that's why they've like in my mind, that's why they limited the like China ones, and they're like, hey, you have an exclusive, quick access to this. Mark your clock for whatever time tonight to go and buy these at the limited run. And then, I think that they're really going to push this to the global, because I felt like, even having the AI, convert over to English and the English notes on everything, like they really tried to push this globally, I feel like, and to target those audiences of the Xbox Ally X and the Z2 Extreme devices with the Legion Go 2.
I couldn't agree more with that statement. I think that is actually very brilliant positioning by Onexplayer to make that direct comparison. Because let's be real, a lot of times what you see from the presentations these days is, hey, look how great our devices are. This is our device is the first one to do this, whatever. But very often you don't see companies straight out calling out their competitors and saying, hey, like, you don't have to believe us, like, go and compare this device to this, right? Like, and if you are, like, to me, maybe this is just me, like, speaking subjectively, but that's the kind of confidence that I like from a company that stands behind their product, right? If a company doesn't stand behind their product and they're just like, well, yeah, buy it or don't, and I'm just like, okay, well, like, that's not really convincing to me as a consumer to want to buy the product, right? That also said, I myself was thinking about this when I was asking you all the question. I think, to what Clef said about like tacking on $200 to each one of these to kind of even out, let's say, whatever that buy win subsidy is or whatever. They still come in at GPD. So somehow, Onexplayer, if you get a chance to see this, this is your game to lose. This is honestly what I believe. You can come in exactly the same pricing, essentially, for your first 3 SKUs, and you will still beat the Win 5. Because something we haven't talked about here is
Chills,
obviously,
right? Right,
yeah,
Clef
I mean,
chills.
yeah,
if they
the
come in at these same prices, they'll be Lenovo.
yeah, yeah.
But wait, keep cooking, GG, keep cooking.
Cooking.
Because like they're
Flip those
coming in,
pancakes.
yeah, they're coming in with the bigger, nicer screen, right? They're coming in with, I mean, it's 5 watt hours. It's a marginal difference, but it is a larger battery, right? They've also stated, which we'll talk about in just a minute, this AIO, or external cooler, which unlocks a level of performance which no other handheld has at this point, including the price point, which I know plenty of people were FOMOing over last year, the Asus Z13 Flow, which we were talking about. This drastically undercuts that price, right? So, something we've also talked about in the past before. I understand if you're apprehensive about buying from like an international company, like a Chinese company or something, you're worried about the warranty and whatnot. But at these prices, as Clef was also saying again, if they can sustain a price of just $200 more than this, and I don't expect an Amazon listing price to be even that much more than that. So, you can go with that, because we already seen that there's Amazon, they sell, their X1 Pro, which Nelly and I love, like on Amazon, and you can buy that even refurbished models too. Like, at least then you have that sort of 30 days, leeway to make that decision for yourself, right? So that said, I do want to talk about this Icebox. This is something that we've never seen before, right? They do exist sort of in like kind of eGPUs, but what's the most fascinating thing to you, if anything, or what's the most concerning thing to you?
Well, first, that this is even an option, that they're going that route, and anyone who's ever all-in-one cooler solution knows how efficient it is and how silent it can be. And for me, that's probably the main thing is, and they really emphasize on that point, and I'm glad they did. You're gonna be gaming with just pure silence, and only the sound of your game, nothing else. And I appreciate that. At the same time, I was worried as that was being discussed that, okay, but what happens with the handheld? Like I'm also glad that we have a dual fan solution in there. But the fact that you have, again, all that flexibility, and that's the thing that we were talking about the Z2 APUs for the longest time, but really with this kind of power, and from having had the Flow Z13 for a while to test, 100%. Like for me, the Flow Z13 was the device where I was like, okay, yeah, finally there's enough power there for me to think I could get rig. I could not buy the next PC rig and just go with that solution instead. So this is going to be a device where having the kickstand on the battery is going to be perfect to dock. Like it's so well. There are so many little details that were just addressed to have this perfect device to, yes, be an amazing handheld, but to also be that homebody best friend that you have to play with every night after work. And when it comes down to that, just having that one wire, cooling everything, powering like I'm excited. I think this is a new frontier for handhelds, and they're setting the stage.
What do you think, Nelly?
So I'm trying to just like check myself quick. But if I'm not mistaken, the GPD dock, you need to have it physically docked in order to play it onto the TV or to just take advantage of the dock, right? This one, you are taking advantage of it with this dock cooling system. You've got this cord out there. So if you don't want to play on a big screen and still get that dock performance, you can hold that thing and still play. Like you're not restricted to have it if you wanted to sit on the dock and then you're trying to like still work it on the dock, because you're not going to lift up that whole dock while you're playing it. But like you can still be like fully access that dock capability while you're holding the device. And I like that. That's the same thing with like eGPUs. I try not to do that when I'm connected to like Oculink, because that's a little sketchy, because you don't want to like
Right.
accidentally unclip that Oculink. But like having that just ability to just take that power performance gain and still be in handheld is awesome. And if anything, they should have named it like the Onexplayer Xbox.
Ouch. Phil's
Okay.
gonna have to get a lawyer up for that one.
But here, let me hit that real quick with the Xbox piece, because I was leading into this. One of the buttons that they have on the front is an open button. And in the translation, it said a watermelon button, which I thought was hilarious. But that's probably not what it actually, like, what it said. But in the translation, it was like, check out this watermelon button. So I'm going to call it the watermelon button. So the watermelon button on the left side of the device is an open button. And they put that there for Xbox full screen experience. So they said when Xbox full screen experience is compatible with this device or like rolled out with this device, you're going to be able to push that button and get into full screen experience. And basically, the translation is like, this is the Xbox button. Now you have an Xbox button. And I like that they've done that with this, that you have that ability to, do that. And then you free up some extra RAM a little bit on the side, but you get to take advantage of all those extra things while having that button, the watermelon button.
Very interesting. What say you, Mr. Turn?
Yeah, I mean it might be a little bit of overkill, but at the same time, like if you want it, why not? I mean, I'm definitely middle of the road with it. Like, I've seen it. I thought it was cool, however long ago when, XMG did it with their laptops. So, I mean, this is just more of the same. It's like, if it's in your budget, you unlock that much more. If you want it, I mean, go for it. Like me personally, I'm like, it might be overkill for what I'm trying to do anyway, because especially with like handhelds, I always try to like set myself to where like I get what performance I can on battery, and then once I'm done, you know, like it just does like that much more, you know, maybe multitasking, maybe, you know, I'm encoding something while decoding this, you know, using that extra power for things like that, as opposed to like trying to just max here and then, oh, well, now I'm off of this. Now I got to like go back into my game and like turn my settings down, you know, whatever like that. But depending on your use case, yeah, like this is, it's cool. I mean, it's innovative for sure. I mean, first handheld to do it. So why not?
Yeah, that's a great point in terms of being innovative. I do personally have some concerns as a person who has a lot of experience with with all-in-one coolers and AIOs. Now, the first thing I'll say, and I would love all of your opinions on this, usually because you know, I have the tinfoil hats, but not necessarily all the hot takes. But it sounds like tonight maybe Zach is a little chilled by the ice box. So let me throw something onto the fire here. All-in-one coolers are a little bit overrated in the sense that, you know, every single big desktop PC that you see that some big fancy gamer build typically has one. But one of the things and one of the things that they don't really openly advertise is after a certain amount of time, if you're like, it's not immediate, of course, but after a certain amount of time, let's say if you're playing for 3 or 4 hours, once that loop's liquid inside is saturated with heat, you are not going to get more performance out of that over a good air cooler. It's going to be really close, you know. So that is something that's not really openly discussed a lot, probably because you know, like the big AIO companies want to keep selling their all-in-one coolers with all their fancy panoramic screens and, you know, you know, meme gifs on the pumps and stuff. But this does concern me in terms of like long-term gaming performance and long-term over time, because during the presentation, it was stated that this is sort of like an ecosystem that you're investing in. Now, something that the CEO said was that you can buy this and they plan to support other devices with this external cooler, including the Super X, right? So Nelly, keep those fingers crossed. We'll still have an
Mhm.
X1 Max that
Yeah,
that makes use of this, right? Um,
exactly.
but that does raise concerns and questions for me because, you know, all-in-one coolers, they don't often have like, unless you're doing your own custom loop, they don't often have like a lifespan of over 3 to 5 years. So like, if you buy one of these, you leave it on your desktop, great that you can go through two Onexplayer devices, but at some point in time I would fully expect you to have to replace this because it's not like end user replaceable or serviceable, you know. Mind you that their asking price isn't that high. It's like, I think the
Mhm.
conversion was saying something like 150, which, by the way, if you factor that into our price differential here, looking at that base 385 that I know Clef was eyeing, we make it 1450, tack we make it 1400, tack on this ice box, it's 1550. That's right at the Legion Go 2 pricing. And Legion Go 2 is definitely not doing anything near 120 watts capability of this thing. So, you know, it's definitely an interesting point that they're taking here. And we'll throw up an image on screen about like the render that they showed about like using this all-in-one cooler. It doesn't seem like it has any way to supply power as well. So you'll have to, you know, plug in you have to plug in the port, either the DC barrel jack or like the USB-C port to like something else. So you got a couple of cables. And to Nelly's point about like, you know, not being docked the whole time, I am a little bit concerned about the length of that of like, you
Yeah,
know,
I wonder how
of
long
the
it
liquid
is.
pipe. Yeah. So
It's
like,
like super short. I'm like, well, forget everything I just said.
yeah, no, I mean, like, it could still have a purpose,
Yeah.
but like it won't be like couch gaming, because unless that ice box is like taking the place of your of your significant other on the couch, right? Like that's the reality of it, I think. So there are a couple little things I think need to be ironed out, but like, what do you all think? Am I just like
Well,
too tinfoil hat here?
I need to say something about what you all
Yeah.
said, which there was a lot there. You're right. You're absolutely right. You know that is a risk, but I also at the same time compare this to a PC rig. The use that you're gonna get in time versus something that you connect and disconnect, I feel it's just not gonna be comparable. So for longevity, who's to say, right? But one thing I think a point that needs to be raised is, as we all know, this is something we haven't seen before. And maybe you're not excited into being an early adopter for that. I get it. But I think what's interesting here is also the potential of what it can become. Just like GPD dropped a backpack on the Win 5. Now we're seeing a backpack with a kickstand. And Nelly, you are so right. I think it is such a little detail that will take you a long way. I love that there's a kickstand there. I honestly, I didn't even know before you mentioned it, and now I'm in awe. So at the same time, I'm thinking of that AIO, and like ideas start coming into place. What if eventually we have an eGPU with that AIO solution all enclosed or interconnected, and that loop just takes care of that as well? But I think the point that you brought up is something that people need to know and something that people need to consider. Truly, the power that you would get out of that is not necessarily going to be consistent for 8 hours. That's one. And two, is it going to really like give you unlock a new tier of your device? I wouldn't think so. And that's why when I originally talked about it, and I think they did that without saying it. If really you get that, considering it's also not that expensive when you think of how much an AIO costs for a PC these days, you really get that because you're going for less noise. That's focus on that first and primarily. And if you do that, to me, it's a given. You will see a benefit. But if you're going into there with, I know that I'm a little, I don't know about, unlocking that 120 watt with the water cooler, because as far as I understand it, it's only when you have that solution that you can have that 120 watt. That's what they said, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, was it, who ran, didn't we have benchmarks from someone, maybe the Fox, that pushed it higher? And, or you know what, maybe I dreamt of that. Maybe, forget what I said. But I feel like we're not going to get that much power. I know they showed numbers, synthetic numbers. That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. In terms of like how it's going to be when it comes down to playing, I don't expect you're going to get that much more. Like you will get maybe 5, 6, 7 more FPS, but you're not going to go from 50 to 80 because suddenly you can push it to 120 watts. That's not the case. So yeah.
I think, yeah, I agree with you. And this is not a knock at Onexplayer in terms of how they were, marketing or presenting their device. This is just the reality of synthetic benchmarks, and why, like, I myself am not a huge fan of those, because, it can mean that they're leaving performance on the table. If you take a look at, a device that we recently talked about with the MSI Claw, the Intel 258V and even the Intel 255H, like those things get pretty significant higher scores on synthetics than, like, the HX 370. That's only starting to show itself, kind of, but not across the board, right? So does that mean that they, have some additional driver optimizations that they need to make? Yeah, probably, because ARC drivers are kind of new, but like it's also something that I wouldn't hold my breath for, right? Because it's one of those things that you can, if you're a developer, especially if you're familiar with the architecture, you can surely game your chip to score better on these synthetics than they would in certain other cases, right? So that's a great point that you're making there, Cliff. What about you, Nelly? Do you have any thoughts or concerns about the icebox, or do you think you would actually just go out and get one if you're going to get
I'm
the
gonna get
Apex?
one. Like,
Okay.
I love accessories, and we've talked about before. I
Oh, we
love
we know.
accessories.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, give me those accessories! I'm
yeah,
like, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart.
yeah.
Like I am excited about the options that they're giving us, and again, I'm excited that there's a case in there too, and like they're just giving us more things that we're asking for, and that's great that they're listening to the consumers and the gamers and the community and the feedback. Like it's nice to see them, apply that, and that's something that I really like about 1x players. They're open to that feedback, and they listen. And it might take some time for them to apply whatever they've heard and listened to, but it seems like they're learning, and that's a huge step forward. So, this device, of course I want to max this thing out. I'm gonna get the ice box. And like I felt like during the presentation, Clef mentioned the silence thing, and they're like, yeah, so like you don't disturb the person next to you. I'm like, people just in bed, and it's like, it's like a machine that's next to you, and you just got these water cooler pipes just like silently gaming.
It's like a
Like
CPAP
not
for
waste
your
money. Yeah,
handheld.
exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, this is like a sleep app for your handheld. It helps it breathe better. It makes it have a better a gaming session, like sleep session.
Yeah.
It's just a better, healthier thing for your device.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, before we have to connect IVs to ourselves, what do you have to say, Mr. Handstern? Would you get an icebox? Do you care, or like?
I mean, I said it before. I mean, I'm on the fence, but I mean, if the price is right, absolutely. I mean, why not? Initially, but I mean, initially, like it's not something like I'm gonna bend over backwards to try to do personally.
You don't
but,
have to buy it off the bat. Like that's the nice
yeah,
thing about
and then
accessories.
get
You
it
can
down the
buy it whenever.
road,
You can buy it
whatever. Yeah, for
whenever.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's simply
well
not
said.
something I'm gonna rely on by any means, for sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But that's just my style.
So before we close that whole talk, Nelly mentioned accessories, and if Onexplayer is watching this at any point, please, 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 at the very least, give us an option to buy that tempered glass protector. Because whenever
Mhm.
they sell a device, they put the film, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate that there's a film. I'd rather have that than nothing. But there's never an option to buy a tempered glass. I don't know why. And they make it during the presentation. They
Yeah, I
mentioned
saw
it,
that.
right?
If you do a review and post it, you get a free tempered glass. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
but didn't I already buy the device? And then you're gonna give me a
Where's
glass
mine?
after? Anyways,
Right?
I was like, how does this work? But
But at the very least, put it up for us to buy, because man, especially like I'm thinking of the Onexfly. You know how it's not exactly a rectangle; it has those little angled corners. It was such a pain to source.
Yeah.
So please give us an option. Just wanted to put this out there.
That is not the direction I thought you were going to go, Clef. I was referencing earlier about the sticks. And so, for those of us who are not Game Tech Talk and not Clef, could you give us a little, explain it like I'm 5 benefit of, the TMR sticks that they're saying are going to
Yeah.
be in these?
So capacitive sticks, and just to address it, because there's confusion out there. When we hear capacitive, we think that it's something that's touch sensitive, like what we have on the Steam Deck. That is not the case. We're talking about the module, what it's using to read your X and Y axes. So, for example, originally we had potentiometers. ALPS is the company that makes them. So they're oftentimes just called ALPS sticks. That would drift and stuff like that. Eventually, we had Hall effect. Now we have TMR, which is basically a Hall effect 2.0. With capacitive, it's a different technology, but it's also cutting edge in terms of just stick technology that we have out there. And I'd say it's pretty good. It's pretty close to TMR, but TMR just had more time to be tested. And I find, for having compared the two, the TMR does a little bit better, but capacitive is essentially the next best thing. And technically, as we go down the road, it could become the thing that beats TMR. There's potential, and that comes from the Gamester CEO that I've seen him write on Reddit himself. So if there's a company that knows about sticks, it's definitely Gamester. Free plug right there. But yeah, capacitive has potential to be faster in pulling rate, better in latency, and also potentially more consistent in readings. But that it's going to take some tweaking in software, and hopefully we get there. But all that to say, what you have in the Apex, buy is good. I'm here for it. Let's go.
All right. Well, thank you for that Game Sir plug. They are not sponsoring this video, but I know Nelly talked about accessories, which we all love in some capacity. That capacity should be. I mean, it looks like the stick tops are removable. Can
Yeah.
Onexplayer, can you give us other stick tops?
Totally.
If there's one complaint I see all the time in my comments, they're like, I don't like the baby switch sticks, and I'm like, okay. I know there are companies that make different, stick grips and stuff like that, but for whatever reason, I mean, maybe it's hard to source, maybe it's hard to make, or whatever it is. I don't see anybody making their handhelds that have different removable stick tops, and this includes Ioneo, who gives us like different modules and stuff, and they've had the removable stick top for I don't know, at least 2.5 years. Like, what's going on? Am I just like insane? I mean, well, I
No.
know the answer to that, but
I don't think you're insane. Well, I mean, no, I do think you're insane, but with that statement, you're not. They could, but see, I don't think it is. I think it's just the picture like showing us how it's broken down and you have like that metal ring. But if it is removable, I'd love to see it. But you have such a great point. However, those convex sticks kind of I personally I prefer concave. So maybe stick caps, you know,
At the very least,
potentially.
right? As
Yeah, some like tight grips, even like
Yeah.
like I would take a 3-pack of different options, like from Onexplayer. Like, just keep giving us more accessories, like that, screen protector that we
Yep.
might actually have as an option for
Let's
this.
hope.
That's exciting. Like, let me add that to cart. You get to ship it together. We all save on shipping costs. It's a win-win. But the stick cap, I mean, any sort of grip on there would be great. But it does look like there's like clips in there, so it looks like it can be just clipped out or clipped back in
It's not impossible.
potentially. It's not impossible.
It's not
It
impossible.
might
Don't try it
require
at home though.
disassembly to do
Don't
it.
try
but,
it.
I
Don't
mean,
try it at home. Don't try to rip your sticks off.
even
All
I
right.
mean, even if you got to disassemble it to do it, would be cool. Throw something else on there.
Mhm.
Do it yourself. Whatever. Fine, I'll make it myself. But GG, I'll replace your insane comment with one of my own.
Yeah.
Give me the 2DS sliders,
Oh,
baby.
no.
Let's
Oh, no,
go.
He wants the
No.
hamburgers. He
We want the
No.
hamburgers.
It was nice knowing
Clef has left the building.
you. Say what?
Yes, he
Oh
wants
no,
the
I
hamburgers.
mixed up the order. I'm
we're
sorry. There
moved
you go.
up.
But dude, no slider. What
No,
what is it gonna
No.
be next? Give us the little nub on that extra circle pad attachment. Excuse me. No.
Well,
The
GameCube
think-
D-pads,
think
like
pad.
the
The little
C.
ThinkPad nipples. Yeah.
No.
No, don't do
Nope.
that.
okay, so before we wrap up though, short of waifu stick tops, I mean, are there accessories that you would actually want to see for this, Zach?
I mean, nothing more than really like what we've kind of already probably thrown at the wall. I mean, yeah, skins and stuff are cool. Sticks are cool. I can't really think of anything too far-fetched, that would be cool to have outside of what we've already mentioned. Maybe a matte screen protector. I'm the matte screen kind of guy,
Oh,
so
no.
you can come
Okay,
kill me
this
for
time
that
I'm
one
gonna
too.
this time I'm gonna leave. Oh no, oh no.
I
Okay,
just can't. I'm forming all the negative engagement.
yes you
in the
are. Yes
comments
you are.
for you.
Yes you are. Okay,
There's gonna be so
You know
much
what?
engagement.
Like one of these.
stop
a
it.
little
Stop
kill.
it, Nelly. No,
A
stop it.
D-brand kill switch case for the
Oh,
Apex.
okay, that's
like,
fine. Yes, that's
pop
fine.
that
No.
back out.
I thought
give
you
me
were
an
gonna.
open
I thought.
back and just. Oh,
Did
that
you
grip
say pop
texture.
that back out?
Pop it out because we need that space for the battery and all those
Dude.
things to plug
I
in.
mean, to
But
that
like,
effect, yeah. I mean, they
Ugh.
usually do some sort of carrying case for everything. Like, you know how many carrying cases we're gonna need for this, or
Right.
just one big one.
Oh, that's good.
One
Yeah,
big
yeah.
one.
Like a
You can
huge,
put the
like
Yeah.
dock,
huge,
you
huge,
can
like.
put the water cooler. You
Yep.
put the
oh,
Apex.
give me a front cover to protect those sticks. You know,
Huge football case. Yeah.
Give me
or
a box to
D-brand just
put,
make
like,
it.
4 of the batteries in. There you
Yeah.
go. I want a battery belt.
There it is. Yes.
So to clip
yes.
all my
A
batteries.
Batman
call-
belt. It's
And you
just
can
like
call yourself Apex Man. You can call yourself Onexfly Apex Man. All right. So before we wrap this up, tell me, what are you working on right now with your channel or with the funds you got to scrape up to buy this thing?
Okay, I guess I'm taking the lead
Yes, of
here.
course. Yes. Do it.
What am I working on? I'm a lot of things. There's a keyboard I need to review. I just got the MCon. I just put a video out for that first impression, and I just actually I don't know that I'm gonna make a video about that, but I just received the Ein Thor, and oh my lord. Funny that we talked about Onexplayer in this episode. If you're watching, cut the feed now, because yeah, if I make a video, I'm gonna have some things to say about that. Thor versus Onex Sugar. So yeah, I guess those are the things I have in the back of my mind and working on as well. Yeah.
All right, moving right along to Nelly. What you working on?
Well, I just got a different like mod case from JSOX, and so I
Mhm.
just put the video out tonight. So whenever this is live, it'll already have been out. But I have that, which is kind of neat. It's got this adapter like to slide on and MagSafe your phone, so that when you're playing with your Switch, you can like watch content. Like I think that's the coolest part about this case is that option. But honestly, I've just been like working on the Xbox Ally X. Like D-Brand sent me the case for the kill switch on there in advance. And of course, I've got a consumer unit on the way too, and I'm excited to see the difference between those two units because I think they ship mid-November. So there'll definitely be, you know, an unboxing of what that looks like coming soon. And yeah, it's pretty sweet though. I like if D-Brand was going to invest in any case of like a device that's not like the mainstream, it should be the Apex. Like just get out there with the Apex. Give me like this bikini style, whatever, like kill switch case with this so that we can still access everything on the back and then have a front cover. Like it would be awesome. I would love
Wow.
it.
Wow. Okay. That's some kind of imagery for sure.
That's a
Speaking
lot.
speaking of imagery, yeah. I was gonna say I'm jealous of that JSOX mod case, but like I got totally blanked and sidetracked by that comment. Zach, have you collected all your tiers from farming Expedition 33 intro, or you working on something else now?
I mean, I'm still playing the game, you know, on my own time, whatever. I'm still working on getting everything kind of pushed through. You know, I've got you know, I guess if you want to call it a debut of sorts in the works. Like I've got it probably about half recorded. I mean, long story short, I mean, it's just like turn-based games, kind of like my history with them rather than like, you know, a big overall history, just kind of like through my lens. That way it stays under like 5 hours. But just it's like my perspective. And then, you know, I really wanted to pick streaming back up, you know, earlier this week, but life just kind of got in the way. So I'm hoping to pick that back up next week too. I like everything's set up, ready to go. I just gotta not have things come up like when I plan to do it. So soon, TM.
Well, we're definitely excited for that. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss any of Hans Turn's spicy takes, you got to make sure that you catch us on Discord so that you can distract him further from doing any kind of live streams. But you know what? You know, pop into the voice chat and make some spicy content that maybe YouTube is not okay with you showing, and then you know, I'm sure someone will pop in the chat.
I will pop in. I will pop in.
There you
I
go.
promise.
There you go. There
If
you
it's
go.
spicy, boom, boom, I'm here.
Dude,
What's
pop
up?
in and pop off your buttons, right?
There it is.
Exactly.
All right.
I'm gonna,
Catch you
GG,
all-
what are you?
Wait,
No,
wait,
no,
wait,
no,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
GG.
no, GG.
Thank you.
I'm
What
working
about
on nothing. I'm working on
Whoa.
nothing.
Oh,
No,
please. Oh,
I'm-
please.
What are you
I'm
playing
done.
then? You tell us what you're playing
I
if you're not working on anything.
Come on, drop it like it's hot. Come on. Come
I'm
on.
playing.
Yeah.
I'm actually playing nothing. There's nothing that I'm actually playing. I'm playing DaVinci Resolve Editor.
But you're not working on something?
No, actually, I did just get. I put it back there somewhere. I did get an 8-bit Do Pro 3 controller. Now, I usually just you know, phone it in when it comes to game reviews or game controller reviews. But since this guy is here, I guess I have to like pretend like I know something about controllers. It's a great controller, though. I will say that I love how you could swap the face buttons with this like tiny mini little plunger thing that
Yeah.
they gave you. It's like the funniest little thing.
You missed an opportunity there. I thought you were gonna say you love the balls. I mean,
No, the ball tops, yeah, ball tops, yeah. You get two also, yeah.
Two balls.
Most controllers you don't get any, so
Yep.
you know, not only do you not get blue balls, you don't get any kind
Yep.
of balls. So yeah, the Pro 3 is a great controller. I do like it. Other than that, I'm working on finally making an eGPU follow-up video, and yeah, so there's a bunch of other stuff. Always XR glasses too. So if you are curious about any of this stuff or any of the stuff we didn't talk about, once again, make sure you drop by Discord. You know, leave us an angry comment down below saying that you know, we just ignored your favorite device too. Okay. All right. Catch you on the next one. I felt it there. I felt it in 1% of my body.
There you go.
My what looks to be mostly human body. And that now you're not spicy anymore. Now that I've started recording,
Because you don't see my hands. I am very spicy. You just don't see what I'm doing. I mean, I can pan down the camera, but we're gonna have to be on a different platform. Let's go.
There we go.
Wow.
Have at it.
Wow, we're so enthused. Button
know.
it back up, Clef. Like, forget
Yeah,
this guy.
it's
It's gotten cold in here.
And 1 second, I'm gonna put my pants back on.
Put them in. Make sure to put them inside the ice box.
What? what are we talking about here to put in a nice box? Because
water cooling. What were you talking
right.
about? What are you talking about, man?
Look,
This
don't create a crack. I'm gonna penetrate it. Okay,
You're gonna penetrate that crack.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna penetrate that crack.
despite what our viewers might think, this show isn't all about innuendos and big holes.
Oh
Wait,
man,
I
is
think
it?
big holes are innuendos.
This episode might be
mean,
about
In
that.
your info.
Yeah, this episode definitely might be.
Yeah.
Whew, that was
One
that
X
was-
player coming in hot, penetrating the market with the
There you
Apex.
go.
Yes,
There
yes.
we go.
At the Apex too.